Hey everybody, it's Monday night. We're back, me and David, and we got a good guest on, a great friend, and I hope you guys know because he's everywhere. He is everywhere. He is one of the faithful. In fact, he has a channel called the Faithful. Faithful what 101.
One of
So
Yep.
you'll definitely have to check him out. We're gonna put the descriptions and the links and everything all afterwards here shortly. I'm not always on top of that as well as I could be, but hey, I got Ty Austin here. So Ty, thank you for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm in good spirits, which is always the key to it all. And thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love what you do. I love the channels. So let's go.
All right. How are you doing today, Mr. David McNiner?
I survived another Monday. Yep.
That's all we try to do.
Actually, it's actually a good day because the body shop calls me. They're like, "Yeah, we should have your car done tomorrow. We're just waiting for a bracket for the bumper, so
Oh, yes.
that's gonna be nice."
Hey, wait a
Yeah,
minute. Speaking
it's
of
good.
cars, I was watching the show yesterday and I saw a picture of a Wrangler flash on your screen. Are
Oh,
you a
hold on a
Jeep
second.
driver?
I'll show you both of them.
Okay.
But yeah, yes, I am. I got this
Okay.
bad boy. Hey, turn my audio.
Do you know what Jeep stands for?
Damn, there we go.
Oh,
I got that
nice.
bad boy, and
Yep.
it's a Rubicon. Right now, the
Nice.
doors and top are on it because it's like I got to get them off, but I discovered in my storage shed that there's things missing, so I got to figure out how that happened before I put my
Okay then.
doors in there.
Yeah.
I thought I had it,
Yeah.
break-in proof, but that's not the case. So
Uh-huh.
and
There's
that's
the other
what's
one.
getting the rear bumper replaced right now. Well, repaired, replaced. I'm not sure if
Gotcha.
they're repaired. It's one of the two, but a truck backed into it and put their trailer hitch through my bumper cover.
Oh,
So
geez.
it didn't get into any of the metal or anything,
Oh, that's
didn't
good.
bend any body up. So,
Oh,
really
that's good.
wasn't bad.
Yeah. So it's just a new bumper.
Yep.
Nice. Well, I'm a Wrangler driver myself, so little Jeep wave to you there.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Jeepway.
Exactly.
So, since you guys are both Jeep guys, right? And there's Jeeps in my family. I used to drive an '89 Jeep Cherokee in Kentucky. It was a lot of fun. Really wish I could drive that again. But since you guys are both Jeep guys, what does Jeep stand for?
Hold
Okay, I
on a
guess this is a
second.
dad joke. I guess this is a dad joke if you guys don't
Get
know.
out of my way or get run over.
No, let's break down the word. JEEP,
What
right?
what
Just
is it?
enjoy every puddle.
Okay. I
Yep.
like it.
You
I'll
break.
accept it.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. I always like to tell people like GMC, God made Chevy, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Ford,
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways you can say Ford, found on road day, first on road day, yeah, Dodge,
Right.
dead or alive. But yeah, shout out to them. I'm a Volkswagen guy. I like
Hmm.
Jeeps because they make me feel like I'm kind of in my Volkswagen. There's a lot of torque behind that little transmission, and I've always had a Volkswagen. But yeah, Jeeps are fun. My little brother, he's got two of them now, and I've been
Nice.
seeing your guys' pictures. Now I know you have one, Ty, but I seen Jess's picture. Shout out to Jess, and
Yep.
yeah, Jeeps are fun. Definitely fun. So, okay, that's a good question. Then let's start it out. What was your guys's? Because again, this is a 49er show, but this is about getting to know each other and stuff. So I just kind of said the first vehicle I've ever owned was a Volkswagen. Ty, what was the first vehicle you owned?
Um, it was a I forget the year. It was a Honda Accord though. It was my mom. I bought it from her. I got it from her. But it was an old Honda Accord with the headlights that flipped out.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
one of
The
those.
'80s, the
Yeah.
the mid '80s.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was almost given a Honda Accord, but I would have to go to Washington State to get it and then bring it back to Stockton, California.
Uh-huh.
And I'd have to change all the smog equipment over and stuff. And it's just, if you don't have a car from California, smog equipment's pretty expensive to put on a car. and it's pretty
Yeah.
expensive to put on like a 10-year-old car or 15-year-old car. So thank you, Grandma. It just didn't happen. Just didn't happen. So I ended up buying a car down the street from my house for $100 with my first job and started rebuilding it.
There you
David,
go.
I didn't catch it from you, and maybe we didn't get to hear it just yet. But what was your first car?
A Buick Skylark, an
Skylark.
'84 Buick Skylark.
All right.
It was so comfortable. It rode smooth. You know, I had no complaints for, you know, it being a young high school car. You know, no complaints.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
second was actually a Ford Ranger, very similar to the one in Nathan Z's pictures, except mine was maroon.
Nice.
All right. So vehicles are awesome. I got a couple that, you know, I'm working on rebuilding. I'm actually putting a Subaru motor in my Volkswagen bus now. So I'm getting away from the oil cooled motor, going to a little bit more reliable vehicle. I'm working on the wiring harness. So I like to tinker with a little bit of things here and there. And my wife, she has a Carmagia, and I've stripped the body, and we were going to redo the paint and stuff, and a lot of fun like that. So my brothers, they build trucks and they do other stuff, and it's funny too.
Nice.
You know, we just get around. So Ty, what, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Tell us, you know, whatever you'd like to say, your profession, you know, your a little bit about your family, your upbringing, anything you want to get into.
Just born and raised here on the East Coast in New York. You know, I'm one of the few natives that actually live here still. Um, what did I say? Just live with me, my wife. We just live comfortable, have fun, enjoy life. I don't know what to say. I don't talk about myself much, so it's the introvert in me.
Yeah, yeah, but I know you say introvert, but extrovert, you know, you know, you're almost there. If you don't want to say 50-50, you're 48, you know, 52,
Yeah,
then you're
I
pretty well
straddle the edge
outspoken.
sometimes.
All right, so yeah, I'm just a maintenance guy. I build, you know, redo people's apartments, and you know, fix people's, you know, toilets and little things like that. Paint, you know, do normal stuff like that, minor repairs. I've done different jobs as well. I've been a truck driver. I've worked for Tesla. I've done, you know, off and in different jobs. I've worked. I've been a supervisor with like 14 different people underneath me at one point, and I've worked by myself. So for me, being able to come into a career and talk to somebody and not necessarily upset them, you know, maybe get the best out of them or the most out of them. I've had jobs where I've been physically like a trainer, and to me, it's easy for me to pick up things that's repertory, you know. And I worked at a poultry plant, and you have to pick up 24 birds a minute. Well, there's only 60 birds a minute, you know, 60 birds a second, right? So I could put up 48, you know. So it was easy for me to, you know, move fast and then teach people how to handle things. And it's not just the only job. I worked at Dana. It's a Toyota framing factory. They, you know, make the Tacoma truck. So I've done a lot of different things, worked in welding factories. And for me, sometimes when people see they're frustrated or they can't get out what they need to get out, or, you know, they're just having a hard time, I'm not going to be able to teach you how to shoot a 3.3. You know, that's not me, but I can teach you how to, you know, build a truck, or, you know, do something, maybe get that rivet in just a little bit easier, you know? And that's what I think me and David kind of get along with. And we kind of like gel a little bit, because David works, I believe, in a machine factory as well. And he builds, I think, airplanes. And he's a master of, you know, all, you know, he's like jack of all trades. He can do all kinds of stuff. He builds swamp coolers, do all kinds of stuff. So again, we just come together because we're 49er fans. And it's funny because I'm in California. I was born in Virginia. So when I found out you guys were doing an East Coast Red and Gold show, if you guys don't know, Ty is on a panel on Wednesdays, and it's a great show. And hopefully you're sub, because I know if you've heard me before, we've shouted the show out. But East Coast, I'm from Virginia. You know, I was born there. I didn't live there very long. David's in Utah, right? And then I'm like right here, you know. So, and I know you're over there on the East Coast too. So now I'm in California, and it's just like, it's fun because you get to talk to different people and get their opinions and stuff. And one of the questions I really kind of want to ask you is, what got you into the 49ers?
Oh man. And so when I was a kid and I first discovered football by playing it, I was 10. I played receiver and just instantly fell in love with the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm talking head over heels. I knew this was the game that was going to stick with me for the rest of my life. So when, I wanted to pick a team, I wanted to learn about the team. So my uncle gave me a book, and it was I always forget the name, but it was basically like a season recap book
Mm-hmm.
of all the teams. And so I read that from cover to cover. It's based on 1983 or 84. The Redskins were on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So I read that, and he told me, put the book back on the shelf when you're done. And I put it back, and I saw he had a book, similar book from the previous year. And I picked her up, and the 49ers were on the cover. So they had on their white unis with the red numbers, and I'm in love with red and white. So I was
Mm-hmm.
instantly hooked there, right from the visual. Plus the gold helmets and everything. They were like sitting around in a huddle. It's a great picture on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
But then I read about it, and I read how the 49ers and Coach Bill Walsh had a pass-first offense. And right there, I was like, oh, this is my team. They throw the ball first. I'm a receiver. I'm all about the pass. This is my squad. So I picked them based on that, and then saw them play and was like, oh yeah, this is definitely my crew. This is it. And I've been following them ever since.
You are a little bit older than me. I think you're an 81 guy, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. I'm an 86 guy, so you got me by a couple of years. My first Super Bowl, my first season, my first Super Bowl was my first game I got to watch. That was the Charger Super Bowl. My parents were having a little party. And my dad, you shout out to my dad. He's not the biggest football guy, but he likes to entertain. He likes to have, barbecues and stuff. And Super Bowl's a great day to come together. So the next season, I kind of sat down because I had, a Joe Montana, jersey and the pants and stuff. I don't know what happened to the helmet. I don't know if I ever even had the helmet, but somebody had given that to my dad and given it to me. So I was wearing that next year for the Super Bowl, and I remember it was, I want to say, the Steelers and the Cowboys, and we watched that whole game, and it was a fun game. I didn't know anything about sports, but then like the following season, 97 season, I was just like sitting there and I just watched. I haven't really missed a game since then.
Yeah.
I could tell you honestly, there's probably been maybe one or two games. I will be completely honest, maybe 5 games that I haven't been able to see on film, but I've caught somehow through the radio, or I was keeping up with it on my phone. And, I've had to work jobs where it was Sundays, and I just hate working Sundays. Sundays, that day, it's like, I don't want to do anything. Let me fold clothes. I'll fold clothes on the couch or something, it's laundry day or something, but don't make me do anything. I don't like traveling. I I like to be at home on Sundays. So that's maybe my little introvert in me. David, when it comes to your thoughts, and I know you've talked to Ty before on other panels and stuff, but what is your normal, typical game day morning regimen? What's the normal thing that you get started when it's the Niners where you're at? I know they start in a little bit different of a time, and I know that might give you a little bit more time to get around in the morning or something.
Well, normally I get up and I cook breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I make some breakfast burritos, enough to last me like all day, so I don't have to cook lunch. I typically have to cook dinner, but I'll make me some breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and then drink some coffee. Typically, I'll go out. I don't necessarily go for a run, but I'll go for a walk. Just to stretch my legs and get things going. If it's snowing outside, then the walk ain't happening. But during football, this last season, it was pretty brutal. It was like snowing a lot. So, but typically I'll get some exercise in just to get my blood flowing. I actually start looking at the actives, the inactives, all the immediate news that affects the game. And here we go.
What's a typical Sunday like for you, Ty, when football season's around?
Well, it's just seeing what time the game is on, right? Do I have to prepare early, late, yada yada yada. But the day actually begins with what shirt am I going to wear?
Okay.
Like, am I going to go with just a t-shirt? Am I going to go with a jersey? Like, it's a decision that needs to be made. How am I going to represent today? Right. So once that's out the way, I'm usually checking on just some last minute news, right? Just making sure everything's okay. Like making sure there's no last minute scratches, no injuries that pop up because they put the inactives out on Friday, but you want to make sure nothing happened on a Saturday walkthrough or something weird happened during warm-ups, right? So you're always listening for news. And if it's the early game, I'm just geeked up. All right, we're playing early. I don't have to wait long. I could just jump into it. If it's an afternoon or evening game, I'm just normally just watching the other games, like on Red Zone or something, just to pass the time, and just waiting for 49ers to come on. That's it.
So for me, it depends on how my week went. If I was able to get things done on Saturday, sometimes I get held up. Company comes over, or family, or something just happens, right? But typically, if it's the morning game and I'm on my, on point, right? Because there's been mornings where I wake up and it's after 10 o'clock and the game's already on, and I am so mad. I'm like, how did this happen? I had the timer set. I had everything, 3 alarms. Nothing happened. There's a dog. He's got to go out in the morning. He didn't bark. What's going on, right? And then there's the mornings where I get up and I'm on time and I'm ready. And then I'm like, okay, so it's the early game. I typically try to cook something for the like halftime, try to get things prepped, and done. Again, if I'm on point, it'll be done the morning before, and then the night before, and then I can kind of just ease the things in during commercials and stuff because I'm not too far from the kitchen or whatnot, right? But when I prefer it to be one of those later games for me, because then I can get up, go to the flea market. I can get up, I can go to the store real quick and get extra last minute details, right? And I love going to the grocery store on Sunday mornings because you get to go in with your jersey or your hat and you see other fans and they're standing around by their shopping carts and they're
Right.
like, I like going with my residency hat. Everybody's like, where'd you get that hat at? And then I start telling them the threes backwards, and then there's just like, so like for me, it makes me feel like, wow, it's a big community, and it's just but again, I do like the Sunday night games. I like Monday night games, the Thursday night games. I just wish they'd make it easier for people to be able to watch these games. They got to keep flip-flopping it when it went. First it was like NFL Network, and then it went to ESPN, and I don't know what else. And now it's like Amazon I'm sorry, it's just getting very confusing and
all over the place.
I think, like for me, if they made like the games cheaper, right? I know the owners aren't making as much money, but I would imagine if they made the games cheaper, the tickets cheaper, there should be no reason there should be like an empty seat. There should never be
exactly.
And I don't know, in your area, but like when the Raiders and the Niners were here, the Raiders are 60 miles closer to Stockton than the Niners. So they used to suffer that blackout rule.
Mm-hmm.
And if the team didn't sell out, I want to say Friday night, and the game's played Sunday, then they could officiate, or facilitate the blackout rule, and that means the game's not going to be on television, public television. And you're like,
I know it.
How's this happening? Why is this happening? And then they go and sell out because when Sunday comes and you hear it on the radio, we're in front of a sellout crowd, and you're like, so like, how's that fair? So I know we've kind of had this back and forth, and I like preseason games because the tickets are cheaper. They don't necessarily matter. You get to see players that are really trying to make the team, and you do get to see some stars, but you just are getting to see some stars, maybe just a couple times, which is fine. That's fine. It's a cheaper game. I don't mind that. So I wouldn't be, and I think I've said this to you before, and I want to kind of get your thoughts on it. I wouldn't be upset with them going to like a 16 game play, a 6-game preseason schedule again, where we have 17, possibly 18 games coming soon. They could put maybe 2 buys in there. You have the 90-man roster right now. You can give these 6 weeks or 6 different preseason games and actually have them like on Sundays where they're not on Thursdays or Saturdays, some funky day, because it seems like every year my birthday's on Thursday, the Niners seem to be playing. Yeah, I don't mind that, but it's a preseason game, and it's like I'd love to go to the game, but I got probably like 10 people coming to my house or 15 people coming to my house. So it's kind of hard to, just. So what's your thoughts on the preseason? Would you like to see more games? Would you like to see just tickets in general drop a little bit in pricing? What do you think?
Yeah, well, overall, tickets dropping in pricing would be great, because some of the prices are astronomical. I mean, even for the nosebleed seats, it's like, come on, this is ridiculous. Preseason, I personally love. I've always loved it, because I'm all about seeing the young guys. This is your first chance to really get a look at them and see how they perform on the field. And, you can get a sense of what they might bring to the table. Was this a good draft pick? Was this a good free agency pickup for this young guy? How's he meshing with the others? I love to just sit down and watch them. I was kind of disappointed when they shrunk it from 4 games to 3. I understand the business aspect of it, but for a guy that likes to see, these guys get those reps and develop, I think they need 4 games, right, to get acclimated.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love for them to go back to 4. I think right now the preseason is too short, because you see how like teams come out week 1, they're like sloppy. They're not ready. They're just not ready for it. So I would love to see it go back to 4. I think you can keep 17. They rest enough guys that they'll be able to manage it so that they're prepared. They're not getting hurt or worn out by the end of the season.
I like it. I really do too, because, they do have 90 guys on the roster. They could get guys to play a little bit more. The Hall of Fame game might have given guys five preseason games,
Yeah,
but
give you
5. 4.
Mm-hmm.
Four, that seemed like it was fair. Me saying 6, that's just me trying to get a couple extra games. That like I'm not a big, fan of the joint practices. I don't really see fans getting anything out of it. If the team still wants to do that, let the team do that. Actually, practice should be like after before we go too far, I think practice should start, once the Super Bowl's over. Teams should be allowed to come together and practice. It's a job, 24, day, out of the whole year.
Right.
It's not sure. Give them some vacation time. Let them be like teachers, take a couple of months off or something like that. But they should be allowed to come together and practice. They shouldn't be fined, or they shouldn't be told, no, you've got to leave the stadium, or,
Right.
I don't know. But Dave, what's your thoughts on the preseason, the whole topic?
You gave us a good there. What you think, David? Are you a preseason guy?
The reason the NFL does this is to try to cut down on injuries. They cut down on the OTAs, on the practices. They cut down on the preseason. They actually restricted, I can't remember what year, it's been a while, but the normal practices, like teams used to do 2-a-days.
Yeah, they don't do that no more. They it's in collective bargaining agreement. You just can't do it anymore.
Yep. And I mean, is it they're actually cut down on injuries? Because when it comes down to it, they're not. I look at it like it takes an actual football player playing the game to get in football shape.
Mm-hmm.
So, you cut the preseason down the game, you cut out all these practices, and I'm gonna be doing research actually when I get off here to see, the number of injuries per season, to see what kind of effect it actually has had. But I haven't noticed a reduction. I have not. I don't think there has been.
Or higher, it seems.
I honestly, I think it's higher, but I'm going to go get me some numbers to back that up before I actually claim that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's good stuff.
So,
but
I plug it a lot. I live in Stockton, and the training camp was right here in my backyard. They used to have 2-day practices. David, what you just said, that makes so much sense. It's like now they have 1 practice a day. They have less, preseason games. They're getting less reps out there, and we're having more injuries, and we're more aware of the injuries. So there's like more of, eyes on it, where it's like, hey, and now what are they doing? They're playing special teams, right? They're special for a reason.
Of all things.
Sometimes they're out there one time, one play a game, but it's their fault. That's where all the injuries are coming.
All the injuries are somehow on special teams. And think about how there's a limit on how many times you can practice with pads now. Right? So these bodies, they're not even banging into each other like they used to back in the days, twice a day with pads on. But the injuries seem to be happening at a much higher frequency now. So what is it? I think that these guys they're coming in and they aren't conditioned to play actual like live football because the preseason and the practices have been cut so much. So when it comes to week 1, week 2, they're like, wait, I'm not acclimated yet. My body's still not ready. And it does take time for them to get that way. Yeah.
The other guys are hitting hard, it's like, no, they've been hitting hard. Your team just hasn't been hitting as hard or whatnot.
Right.
David, what's your thoughts? You got a question for Ty or me? Let's throw it back down to you.
Well, you know what? When it comes to special teams, someone always gets carted off after a special teams play. No, hardly ever happens. Exactly. I honestly think that rule is stupid. What they're doing, I don't think it's going to last beyond this year.
The fair catch rule.
Mm-hmm.
That's
teams are going to find a way. Teams are going to find a way. These guys are NFL coaches for a reason. They're going to find a way to make crazy things happen. It's what they do. Special teams is called special teams for a reason.
They've been doing it a long time too. So those guys are savvy.
So, everyone talks about the QB situation. I look at it like right now there's no point because there's just no point. That poor horse has been beaten. That horse has been beaten to dust. So, how do you think our defensive line is going to react to having Hargrave in the middle?
It's an upgrade, right? Because what we saw was the left side of the line with Bosa and Armstead was the strength. The right side was kind of the weakness, right? So we saw what offenses did. They focused all their time on that left side, right? Bosa would get double teamed and Armstead would get double teamed at times. And they would just leave the right side one-on-one, and that's how they would win at the line of scrimmage. That's how they went at it. Or they would actually go away from Bosa and just like toward that right side because they know they couldn't handle a stand up as much. With Hargrave sitting in there, you can't do that now because if you single him up, we all know that he'll eat somebody alive. Right? You just can't do it. You can't focus all your attention on the one side anymore. So that's going to even everything up. Allow Bosa and Armstead, to get more freedom. I still think Bosa will still get double and triple teamed. He's just that dangerous to an offense. But now we got a guy in the middle that could do some damage, cause some havoc. And then next to him, Javon Jackson should have a good year. I said Javon Jackson. Is that his name? That's not his name.
Javon Hargrave.
Not Javon Hargrave. What's Jackson's name?
Drake Jackson.
Oh, Drake.
Drake. Why? See, I'm mixing names up here. Yeah, Drake Jackson, I believe he's poised to have a good year. His second year in. He's done everything the coaches asked him to do. And remember at the beginning of the season last year when he got in there, he did flash. He was leading the team in batted balls at one point. He had like 3.5 sacks through the first 5 games, playing rotationally. Like he flashed. He did some good things and really didn't know what he was doing. His body wasn't up to it. Coming into this year, having a better understanding of things, being more conditioned for the game, he should do very well. And backing them up, Chris Kasarik also brought in a lot of guys that he feels he can work with, and we've seen him do this in the past. And these guys will be part of the rotation, and I think that's the line will be solidified. So that's the one area of the team I have no problems with.
Yeah, Drake Jackson, 15% of the snaps, 3 sacks, and 8 batted balls. He only played 15% of the snaps.
Yeah, look at that. And people think like we all know he kind of hit the wall. He didn't dress certain games. But remember, he was in that Raiders game at the end of the season. He was in there playing and getting pressure, and he caught the interception off the batted ball. So it isn't like he just fell off the face of the earth from the team. He was out there at the end of the season. So I got nothing but high hopes for him.
I really like some of the guys that brought in for free agency too. There's the one guy, he's from Detroit, Bryant. No bias, right?
Austin
Bryant, speed rusher.
I think that's going to be, if he can make the team, I think that he'll be a nice addition. And then they brought the one guy in. His name's Colin
Farrell.
Thank you. And he's going to be a very nice addition too. So if we can get the rotation out of that, and like you said too, Drake Jackson, second year now, he has been able to develop his body a little bit more. He came in last year, but he come in and I guess he run out of steam. At least that's what they're saying. Yeah, I mean, he was college shape. He wasn't pro shape. So now he's got a year to build and condition. And again, just why can't we have the facilities where the players can go and build, and train and be there? They should feel like it's their home, and it's just, it doesn't make sense. Like, I have no problem with tight end you going wherever they're going in the country because they're bringing other players and stuff together. But they should have that same freedom they're here in Santa Clara, at Levi Stadium. So,
they do. They can go in a facility and train during the off season. They just can't do any like team activities. So if you want to go in individually and work out, you by all means do you. But you can't do any team stuff. And I think that's the part that sucks. Because I would love for an offensive line unit, defensive line unit, get together and like just go through some drills, do some things. The whole iron sharpens iron mentality. If they could get that going in the off season early at some point, I think that'd be great.
I don't get why maybe it's just the players union, but like you said, it seems weird. If there's one guy in the weight room, is there another guy allowed to be in the weight room? Do they have like a time limit, or can they both be in there training? They just can't talk to each other. I don't, that's just a joke, but I just don't, it should be more team, building, more like rah. Hey, if the guys want to come together, let's do it. So the other day we had a conversation, and I think it was a pretty cool topic on my show the other day where we had thrown out the retired players, and Kyle Shanahan had made maybe just a grumpy statement, but he just made a statement. And anytime anybody says something, it gets written down. So with us having 12 49er jerseys retired, do you think that's too many?
No. It's not a lot when you consider, how big a team actually is, and you got 100 numbers to work with. Right? We got 12. You still got 88 numbers to work with.
Yeah.
So we're fine there for a 53-man roster, right? You have enough numbers. In the preseason, some guys maybe have duplicate numbers, but they'll change when the season starts and the roster starts to get cut down. And that's fine.
Zero is now a number, so there's actually 89.
That's right. So we're totally fine with numbers. And the guys that we have retired are greats. Like they aren't like borderline, right? Like some guys you just don't know. No, these are greats. These are champions. So I'm totally fine with their numbers being retired. If the equipment guy has to duplicate a number, then darn it, duplicate a number, equipment guy.
Yeah, that's my thoughts too, because again, there's 89 players, there's 89 numbers you can deal with, and there's only going to be 53, 57 guys making the roster, so and then after that, you still got a couple of players that go on the practice squad. So I still see there being enough numbers. I know there's been jerseys that's been ripped off of players during the game, and they give somebody else a jersey and they go in there and play. So, all right, Ty. So let's get into it. Have you heard the term bird hunting?
Bird hunting. Oh, well, the all the bird teams we have on our schedule. We're going bird hunting, yes.
I think it's like a stretch of 5 games. So if
Yeah.
you've seen the schedule, if you don't mind telling us your overall prediction record and how do you think we'll do during that bird hunt?
20-0, baby. That's my prediction on the season. 20-0.
I love it. I love it.
Taking it all. Listen,
That's good.
this team, for real though, everybody thinks I'm joking, but the only thing that beats us is us. If we play 49er football and take care of business, we should run the table on anyone.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Teams may put up a fight. It may be a dog fight, but at the end of the day, we have enough firepower on both sides of the ball and special teams to get the job done. So I don't see any of these teams like really threatening us. They may compete because that's what they're going to do, but we should be victorious. And the bird schedule in the middle, it's going to be fun to watch, but I think we're going to cook them all. We're going to be eating a lot of bird this season.
So we play Pittsburgh week 1.
Yep. I'll be there.
What would you say? Is that a 50-50 game? Do you think is it a 49-51 game? Pittsburgh hasn't lost since 2014, week 1. And I know they've been on the road some of those games too, but yeah, that's pretty big. So how do you feel about the Pittsburgh game?
Okay, so we should beat them easily, right? We shouldn't be any problem. Now, like I said, the only team that beats us is us. This is one of those games where we could beat ourselves by not playing well. And it comes back to that discussion we had about guys coming in. They're not ready to play when the season starts. And they start out a little slow. Things happen. And we've seen that in the past. This has been our team's MO for the past how many years now? 7, 8? Where we just start out the season slow. And we're just making stupid mistakes, stupid errors. And we wind up losing a game. So that's one of them where it could happen. But on paper, it's like, hey, this is a win. This is a W. I'm fine with it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh could be a trap game. I think it's just the fans that week 1, the energy, we start out slow. Like you said, I think the only year we haven't started out slow was 2019. And that was, Jimmy coming back from a ACL injury.
ACL.
And
but hold on. Oops, sorry. I cut you off. And I think you was about to say the same thing I was about to say. Even in 2019, if you go back and look at the beginning of the season, we were shooting ourselves in the foot like crazy. And the defense would bail us out, or special teams would bail us out, something like that. And speaking of Pittsburgh, if you remember, we played them in 2019. It was week 3. Mm-hmm. That's when we had 5 turnovers on offense.
Mm-hmm.
What team do you know wins a game with 5 turnovers on offense? That's because the defense was lights out that game, and they kept us in it, and we wound up pulling out the victory. So,
and it wasn't like 5 interceptions. It wasn't 5 fumbles. It was balanced. It was just
I believe it was 2 interceptions and 3 fumbles in that game.
Yeah.
James had 2 of those fumbles. One was like inside the 5, taking points off the board. It was ugly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just Pittsburgh's that game, and then the Giants are a Thursday night game. The Giants aren't somebody you push over. It's going to be a primetime game, so that's a lot of people are going to be watching that game. And I like to think the Giants, they're like a blue collar team. I was saying it a couple years ago, if they got into the playoffs against us, that's going to be a really, really bad dogfight for us. It's not going to be a favorable game because they play aggressive. They play tough football, and they might not be like the deepest, flashiest, or most explosive offense, but they can grind that ball out. So, and then we play the Cowboys. That's another memorable moment game this year. I think Cowboys will be coming in and trying to play the Super Bowl against us. They haven't beat us for a couple years now. So I think they're going to have a really high emotion. And I think it's the first time, David, if you know this better than me, it's the first time in 10 or 20 years we've played them on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. That's really crazy. And then, you move on a little bit further. We do play Kirk Cousins. We play Joe Burrow. Then we get into the season. I think our bird hunt starts on Thanksgiving. I'd love to beat the Seahawks in Seattle.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that happen. And we play a couple more teams. Then we go to the Eagles. I think the Eagles is what, right after Seahawks, and then we play the Seahawks again. It's
Yeah,
like,
they're sandwiched. The Seahawks,
yeah.
the Eagles are sandwiched in between the Seahawks.
So I feel like that could be a really emotional high game. We beat them in Seattle, and then we lose to the Eagles, or vice versa. It could just happen. Like we get shot out. We get really shut down in Seattle. That would be horrible. I'm going to eat Thanksgiving dinner early that night. I don't know if you heard me say that already, but I don't want to stomach that.
Well, if you think about it, so we play, it's a short week. We play on Thanksgiving, in Seattle, but then, we got to go. Hopefully the team heads back east kind of early.
Yeah.
But
take
then,
advantage of the mini
it's
buy,
like
head east early. Yeah.
Yes, and to get ready for Philadelphia.
Yep.
We do have that facility in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it Youngstown? Is it Youngstown?
That's West Virginia. Yeah. They have one in Ohio as well. They do one in Ohio and West Virginia, depending on where they play.
Yep.
So
West Virginia,
West Virginia for the Eagles one.
It'd probably be West Virginia.
Yeah.
But either way, I actually like the way the 49ers do that too with the East Coast games. They head east and they get acclimated to the time zone and being away from everything. So
it's very smart on their part. One of the best things that they do.
It shows that they've taken a little bit of a nod of what Eddie's kind of done in the past, and they care about their players.
Totally. I wouldn't be surprised if Uncle Eddie put that in Jed's ear. Like, you know what? You need to take care of these players during the season. Like, do the things that will help them be successful to get through a season.
Yeah. I don't think they were doing that during the Dennis Eckerson, era. I don't think that's the Jed York,
The Jed York, no. No way, Jose.
John York, and Dennis Eckerson, they were, he was out there, and then, John's back there, and then they let Jed start running the team, and he's young and just, oh, wow. But yeah, then we play the Eagles and we play the Seahawks again, and then we play the Ravens, the Cardinals, then the Ravens.
Cardinals, yeah.
And I know everybody's like, oh, geez, it's the Cardinals, we're going to just blow them out of the water, but Colt McCoy seems to have our number, and then this game should be Murray coming back, and whether or not he's all in or football shape or whatnot,
exactly.
It's still the Cardinals. The Cardinals seem to have our number. It's really funny in the NFC West. I've seen it's like the Seahawks seem to have us. We beat the Rams. The Cardinals seem to beat us, but then the Cardinals beat the Seahawks, and the Rams beat it's a wicked circle right there.
Yep.
And I've brought this up in the past, and it's kind of weird, like when we did switch the conference in 2003, and we got the Seahawks and the Cardinals in our division. Things kind of changed. The Seahawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals all seemed to go to the Super Bowl, and it took us a while. We were going through coaches and rebuilding and stuff, and now we're finally there. So, Ty, what do you think we got to do, man? What do you think we have to do? Is it really depending on our quarterback, or does our coach really just got to get more gutsy? I mean, he can't play. He can't sit on the field and do it.
The last few seasons, it's just been health. Unfortunately, it's been health at the quarterback position, right? Like last year, you saw what happened. Even the year before, Jimmy gets a bum shoulder and hand. Trey gets the bum knee and finger. Like, it's been health. Like, if we were 100% healthy, I think we'd just run through everybody. We'd be fine. But it's been stupid health that has held us back. Even going back to 2011. Think of that team. Think about he who must not be named returning punts and kickoffs. Why was he out there? Because Ted Ginn was injured. Right?
That's true.
So we had to turn to him. Like, imagine if we had Teddy G out there. That team is totally different. We're beating the Giants and we're smacking around the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That would have been a Lombardi number 6 right there. That 2011 team was so good.
That's
Oh
true.
my gosh, that team was so good. The fact that we made it to the NFC Championship game with all those injuries shows you how good they were. It's just one of those things.
You look at it and you're just like, wow, we've gotten there, and yes, injuries have happened, and for whatever reason, we have a hockey staff for our training facility. I don't get that. But our guys, for the last couple of years, they have been healthy in certain areas or made runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like this year, kind of was a little bit more healthier. In the beginning, the defense did, they were kind of banged up, and Debo didn't come in the best way, and CMC coming in really changed the offense. But oh boy,
but think this year, look how banged up how our defensive line got as the year went on. Like people tend to lose sight of that. But we know Armstead and like Kinlaw missed some time during the season, and they came back, and Armstead came back strong, but Kinlaw was shaky. But the guys that backed him up, like T.Y. McGill and
Kevin Givens.
Oh man, thank you very much. Kevin Givens and those guys that were in part of the rotation, they played well being a rotational guy. They helped solidify the line. And when they went down, that's when we saw some huge holes. And that was a problem.
Yeah.
So we gotta stay healthy, all around.
A lot of people forget back in 2019 when we made it to the Super Bowl. Out of all our defensive linemen, I believe we actually had 10 on the roster to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that 10, we had the 4 starters. Mm-hmm. The rest of the guys were gone. Everyone was injured.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
that's a big lot of key. People, like, if your frontline guys can stay healthy, that's a huge plus. All right, once you start losing them, it's like, uh-oh, what are we going to do? Like you can't keep rotating everybody. You need that stud in there. That's why the pickup of Javon Hargrave is so huge, right? We don't have to fill that spot with rotational guys. Like he's a true 3-down lineman. So when we need to buckle down and say, hey, this game is close. It's nut up time. We know we could just put him out there and he'll get the job done.
The thing I like about Hargrave is he's not like Armstead, long and tall. He's only 6'2", and he's like 310, so he's really thick. He's got a low center of gravity.
Yes.
Humongous legs.
He's built from the lower half down.
Mm-hmm. He's built to be an interior lineman.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. I was really disappointed in the way the Eagles game ended. I knew, we brought Purdy in there, we had a chance. If Jimmy was in there, we would have had a chance. If, Trey Lance was in there, we would have had a chance. I thought we still had a chance with Josh Johnson in there. We scored a touchdown. It was 7. Yeah, they were still in the game when it was 14-7. When he fumbled, I don't know why they didn't put.
But it was messed up. But even after he fumbled, remember Kyle came out aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
He was letting them sling it. Remember, he hit Debo, and Debo almost broke a tackle. That would have been a big run. And Kyle knew he had a game plan dialed up for them that they couldn't handle.
No.
He just needed some execution from the QB position. And unfortunately, the last QB we had got knocked out the game. And that was it.
I always thought Juice was listed as our emergency QB. And then, as the game goes, they put a quarterback that couldn't throw the ball in the game. I'm sitting there like what?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Yeah, he explained it at the State of the Franchise where they have like an emergency just package of plays to go through. And I'm probably sure it's probably like 4 or 5 plays just to get through the end of a game. But when you're doing that from the second quarter, it's like, this ain't gonna work. So it's like, what you gonna do?
Yeah,
run the same 4 or 5 plays over and over. They'll pick up on it at some point,
I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it because Kyle Juszczyk is the emergency quarterback.
Yeah.
David's correct. And then they had CMC on the sidelines changing out his face mask to go in and play quarterback. And then when he was in quarterback, they only ran him as a wildcat. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you can win this game. Put in Juice. I know that we have fans that don't like Juice, but Juice is worth his weight. He's worth it. He's worth it. And when you have players at positions that are overly skilled or overly talented, and they can play different positions, like shout out to Deion Sanders, wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver and cornerback.
Corner.
Same thing.
Returner.
Yeah, Turner. You had people like Nick Foles just a couple years ago run out and catch the ball in the end zone, for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. When there's athletes out there that can, make an athletic play and utilize them, why does it have to be, oh, well, that's the quarterback. All he does is stand there and throw. No, sometimes like a big heavy hitter right now that I have that's been coming into this year, and I hope he makes the team, is that Jake Coletto guy from Oregon. He's a fullback. He's a quarterback. He's a linebacker. Yeah. I think he's going to make special teams, and I hope they do. I hope they put him, on the team somewhere and make him the second string fullback somehow, because some guys are just gamers.
Yeah, I had said before the draft, all right, don't be surprised if you see us draft some like weird kicker or player or something you don't know about, and you're like, why are they drafting this dude? And it's because he can throw in some way. Wound up being Jake Coletto, a guy who can like play fullback or a little tight end, little H back, but you know what? He can also throw. So in case of emergency, he'll be the guy we throw out there.
We've seen Emmanuel Sanders throw a touchdown. We've seen Debo do it. We've seen CMC do it. Yeah. Let's get a little explosive. Let's get a little crazy. I'd love to see Jake Moody do it, but let's just see him kick some field goals first.
Jake's got some guns. I think he has an arm. You never know. I might be keeping that under wraps.
So, all right, Ty, it's almost an hour. We can keep going if you like, but it's always fun to keep it short. We can always come back for more. So, if guys,
we got to talk special teams before we go.
Yeah, we got one more topic. So, Ty, what would you like to talk about before we get out of here?
We got to talk special teams. You got your Moody jersey there in the background.
Yep.
I got my number 4. Wait, can you see it?
Oh, Andy Lee, look at that.
That's right. Andy Lee, the MVP jersey on. That's right. So, So, and I got to tell this story. So at the infamous Cowboys 49ers game, the season opener in Jerry World, the infamous Sea of Red game, I was there. I went there. I wore this jersey. I've never gotten so many compliments on a jersey in all my life. And I mean, I've got Jerry Rice, Patrick Willis, a whole bunch, both arms to everybody wearing this jersey in that game. I got so many guys come down. Guys were walking down to me like, hey man, I spotted you in the Andy Lee jersey. That is awesome. Like, it's insane. And this was my guy. So I was on cloud 9 that day. And especially the fact that we whooped them in their own building. It was a great day. So yeah, special teams, baby. Kickers need love too. Let's go.
Hey, I remember quite a few games where Andy Lee would punt the ball, and then next thing you know, he's not the last line of defense. He's getting up in there and he's making a hit like he's a linebacker.
Yeah.
So he's my favorite 49er punter all time. Period.
Yeah.
There was even a point in time where he was the only Pro Bowler on our team.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that's why I call him Andy Lee, the MVP. Like, there were some years in there where he was the MVP of the team.
Yeah.
It was like he would save a game by flipping the field, making that tackle, doing things like that. And you're like, whew, thank God we got Andy Lee.
Yeah, there was definitely, a moment through time where all we had was Andy Lee and Frank Gore. And then we got Pat.
That was it.
We got Staley, but that was the beginning, so
right.
We're gonna definitely go more in detail on the kickers. I'd love to have you on. I got another buddy too. I think you might know him. His name's Paul Hope. He'd like to do a
Oh
little bit
yeah, I
more
know Paul.
breakdown of a kicker. So maybe we can get David, you, and me, and
Oh,
we'll all come.
organize that. We'll do it.
We'll get it together. But
Yeah.
and we'll go in detail. We'll talk about it offline a little bit. But we can do it both ways. We could do kickers and punters because they're both valuable. And
Yeah.
I think everybody knows, or they should know, who Pat McAfee is. That dude changed the way kicking was just being out there. It was just being played, right, or kicked, right.
Mm-hmm.
He was a kicker. He was a punter. He wasn't really a field goal kicker, but he could do it. But he was really just for kickoffs, and he could just lay the ball, kick it on an onside, and then recover it himself. How many people can recover their own onside kick? Like, wow, I mean, so yeah, shout out to Pat McAfee. And were you able to do anything with the Tom Grossi 30 for 30 tie?
No, I didn't. I actually caught on to that late. I was like, wait, what's this? What's going on? Like, totally oblivious. So, and I did catch on to it late. So I wasn't able to do anything, but it's awesome. I wound up, reading up all about it and seeing him on the various, specials, and what an awesome thing. And I know you met up with him. I saw your pictures. You and the family went out there and met up with him at Levi. That is awesome, dude.
Yeah, that was really fun. The reason I bring it up is because, we all know people that have children or have family that needs help, and Pat, McAfee, he was able to have Tom Grossi come on his show. That's kind of how I found out about it. I found out about it a little bit late too. Actually, I think I found out about it from Joe Stevens and Seattle, Seattle Talk. He told me about it, and I was like, wow. And so I started reading up about it, and I was like, it's not too far. We can go to the stadium. I got Tony convinced, and we took the whole kids, and it was a lot of fun. But it was about going over there and being able to be a part of the movement, being a part of the fundraiser. We were able to donate a little bit. We were able to go over and we give them a couple cups. That was a lot of fun. But they raised over $500,000 for St. Jude's. And it was really cool because this is money that he was supposed to take and buy a house with. He was going to move from New York State to Wisconsin. He's close to Green Bay. I think he was moving into Green Bay to buy a house. And he spent, I think, $47,000. He had $50,000 to do it, himself, and do the trip in 30 days. And he spent $47,000, and he was able to go to some different teams and stuff like that. Some teams didn't let him in. There was a couple of teams that donated money, so that's really cool too. Yeah. And I actually emailed the Niners, and I asked them, "Are you guys doing anything for them?" Because I hadn't heard anything on anything. I'm on Twitter with the Niners, and I figured they would do something. And I went on the webpage, nothing, and I didn't get a response back. But we still went over there, and he was he showed up, and the guy's just like he is in person. Like you see him on YouTube, he's just like that. He's awesome. Genuine. And had a lot of fun meeting him. But yeah, my point is if you guys have an opportunity, not everybody can do it all the time, but if you can donate to a charity like St. Jude's, or if you know another good fundraiser, lots of people close to us. I don't want to push or signal anyone, but you can go on my Facebook, or you can go on my Twitter. There's a fundraiser that we're supporting, and we're going to try to continue to support too. So if there's any way that you can support, it's important. I'm not telling you to take, money and just give it to the guy at the gas station. Make sure, you're giving it to somebody, and maybe if the guy at the gas station needs a couple bucks and you can do it, hey, more power to you. But it's for the kids, and that's what I'm getting at. So, Ty, man, dude, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to ask before we get out of here, or would you like to tell us a little bit about your show, what you do on your show, or the multiple shows you go on?
There's two shows, the East Coast Red and Gold show. We go live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's four of us, me, Matt, Jess, and Rebecca. And we just chop it up, talk some 49ers and stuff. We like to have fun. It's free-flowing conversation. And it's a good time. I also have a solo show I do. Excuse me, Faithful 101. And where I go just sit down with one-on-one with members of the faithful, and we talk about little life, little football, and it's just an interesting short chat. So check me out.
Yeah, you have a really cool channel. You're a really good interviewer. You've been able to meet several people on the 49ers community, and then you've met, people. I want to say it, you met Matt Mieko. Hey,
yeah. I got to sit down with Matt Mayoko the morning of the NFC Championship game, and we did not see that game going that way.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it during the interview. We actually got to sit down and talk afterwards, and we just knew we were going to the Super Bowl. I mean, he was asking me, "Hey, do you have a way to get to the Super Bowl? And can you talk to someone? Can you do this?" And he was like, "If I would suggest you go out the week before for Radio Row, and you can really meet people." I mean, we just knew we would see each other in Arizona. So it's wild. But yeah, sitting down with him the morning of the NFC Championship game was great. And I got some other guests like him on the horizon, as well as members of the faithful. So just keep tuning in, folks. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you've had a lot of good content creators on your show for guests, and and even with your other show, East Coast Red and Gold, you guys got to interview Randy Cross. You guys got to a lot of good people. So if you guys like this type of, because I feel like we have a mature channel here where you can come in and just kind of hear, we're not trying to nitpick anybody. We do like to be factual. We do like to be on point, but sometimes, we might make a hiccup. And that's why, it's fun to be able to talk with friends and, be able to say, hey, I made a mistake. I did, but it's also fun to be able to, joke and stuff. And if you guys like that, go to East Coast Red and Gold. They have a great panel. All of them, they very mature, one of the best 49ers YouTubes out there. Like, I started watching you guys maybe about a year ago, and I've been just trying to plug.
You're one of the first, I know.
I've just been trying to just plug you guys. I really like listening to you guys. Usually come home, wash the dishes, have you guys in the background, so a lot of fun. And David, would you like to ask Ty anything before we get out of here, or is there anything that you would like to say before we get out?
No, I'm good. Well, I would like to shout out the chat because we had a wolf sighting earlier.
We did.
Oh, nice.
We did. We had a wolf sighting.
I missed that. Wow.
Our guy. I love Wolf. He's a cool dude. Chat's always fire. We got Bebop, Mrs. Culp.
Everybody, my boy.
Damian Lee.
Mrs. Culp.
He was our guest last week. He's actually said he was at that game, Ty, when you wore that jersey, the Cowboys game. Said he was at that game, and he may have seen you.
Yeah, I got I'm going to rewatch that episode. I don't like to watch like the episode prior of a show I'm going to be on, so it doesn't taint my mind or something. I'm weird in that way. I like to be authentic when I'm talking. So I'm going to watch Damien's episode probably tomorrow morning for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Damien's a great guy. I love him. Yeah. Then we always got Bebop. Bebop's everywhere.
Yeah.
Of course you got Bebop. White boy Rick. That's interesting.
But the chat was fire tonight. I saw it just kept going and scrolling up. That's
it's
always
still
good.
Going. We got Steve-O, twin, the man with the beard. He's in the chat.
I know.
We're gonna
look up, man. I gotta reach out to you.
You should. You really should.
Yeah,
he's great.
Yeah, we have good show. A lot of good people in the chat. We really appreciate you. I think we're streaming on both channels, so if you guys can jump back and forth and hit a like, and if you're not subscribed to Ty's other channel, please do so. If you're not subscribed to mine, please do so. David's my co-host. We're going to be getting his show up and going, so we're going to be going back and forth. It's not always going to be on Bryant's channel. It'll be on David as well, and we want to have Ty on again. We like having conversations like this where we get around and we can talk football, and it doesn't have to be all about the quarterback or who's starting and why is he hurt and whose fault is it? At this point, we just want to say, hey, we're 49er fans. We want to talk before the season starts. We want to get some thoughts that we've had off our chest. Right, and, it's exactly that. It's about the name on the front, I don't have that jersey. You do. I got the 60 patch, so but yeah, thanks, Ty, again. And everybody,
thank you guys.
Description will be in later, and we're going to do it again. So, guys, have a great night.
Go Niners. Good night, everybody. Go Niners.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
Go Niners and F the Lambs.